From me to you, to you to me, from me to you.
To you, to me, to you.
Hello and welcome to this Wednesday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Thank you for joining us
dark, Stephen.
Once more on our YouTube channel and of course our subscribers on Twitch as well. We are over on Twitch as well for some strange reason, but hey ho. John.
Yes, I'm going to steal on you just now, Stephen.
I know that you covered a lot of films last night on the solo show in regards to delays, but here's another one. It's Jurassic World Dominion temporarily pauses filming after positive COVID-19 tests on set. This is coming in from Collider, and the Dominion is temporarily hitting pause on filming for the upcoming Universal sequel after positive COVID-19 tests were detected on set. Filmmaker Colin Trevorrow announcing the news on social media today, saying, "Woke up to the news. We had a few positive coronavirus tests on Jurassic World Dominion. All tested negative shortly after, but due to our safety protocols, we are going to pause for 2 weeks. Back soon." Now, they came back, tested negative, John. That's
that little photograph, Stephen.
That is
wonderful.
That's. I was going to talk to you about that as well. That is.
It's obviously a sort of animatronic dinosaur.
Yeah, it's an amazing graphic, isn't it?
Trevorrow's put on the set.
Yep. Yeah,
or he's got these set designers to put on the set, and
Trevorrow,
they fashioned up a nice little mask for
Trevorrow's a good guy, John.
Yes.
He was very hard done by with episode 9, but we'll not get into that. We're going
That's
to talk about
because he wanted to have a movie centred on
Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. We can't have that.
No, we can't have that. No,
not the hero of the actual franchise. No chance.
John, this is... You were talking about some films last night, obviously, delays and stuff like that. This is just
horrendous news.
Another in the long list of ones that are being delayed now. Naturally, it's going to happen. It's good to see that these tests came back negative for everyone on board. The Jurassic World cast and crew, but couple of weeks, John, it's not going to really hit them too hard in regards to their scheduling, etc. But what's your take on this anyway?
Stephen, I think first and foremost, obviously they're having to take a 2-week pause because even though they've all tested negative, the way this virus works is it's quite contrary. You can test negative 2, 3, 4 times, and then a positive test can pop up maybe a week later. We've seen it with that press secretary or press minister, whatever they call it over in the States. I think secretary for Trump. Yeah. She got tested 4 times, and the 4th attempt she was tested positive. So they're doing the right thing. That's my first thought. Pausing it because ultimately the safety and well-being of the cast and crew are paramount. Without them, you don't have a movie. Yep. And we won't be seeing Dominion coming out at all if they just keep working them like workhorses in the midst of a pandemic, and half of them have the actual virus. And then obviously you don't know how it's going to react. Some people could die if they contract it, if they've got maybe abnormalities in their genes and stuff, because I've been reading into this virus, Stephen, and it works strange. So they've done the right thing, and I agree with you. I don't think it is going to have a huge impact on the actual production of the movie. We've seen it with the Batman, hit pause for 2 weeks. Yep. By all accounts, they had some on-location shots still happening with the stuntman who was actually doing Batman. They had him filming some shots, I think, on motorbikes and stuff like that. So it didn't completely end. Obviously, the actual close-up shots of the actors, Chris Pratt and stuff like that, in this case, will not be getting done. But that's not to suggest they can't do some other stuff that maybe... I don't know how they're doing this movie, Stephen, but I know certain productions... I know Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, they had the editor on set with JJ, and they were editing the movie shot by shot as it was going along. So it's certainly possible if Trevorrow's doing that, he could be editing this movie in a sort of post-production, within the production sort of thing, and they could maybe be working away in other elements of the movie whilst this is happening. So I don't think it's a worry. It certainly isn't a worry anyway, because the movie's been delayed to 2022, so they've got all the time in the world now to get this movie put together, shot, and they don't have to rush and endanger the cast and crew. So yeah, it's a shame, but it's just the way of the world now. We're seeing so many different people, athletes, actors, cast and crew testing positive. In this case, I've not tested positive yet, but it's going to happen, Stephen. It's impossible to avoid in a pandemic. People picking up viruses, man, that maybe spreading it like wildfire. So yeah, that's what it is, man. Yeah, but Stephen, the actual general discussion I was speaking about yesterday, you didn't have a chance to actually share your thoughts because it was a solo show. It was a big I refer to it as a cavalcade. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but it was like an onslaught of bad news from Warner Brothers. They delayed a whole array of different movies. Dune, The Batman, Wonder Woman 1984 is the only one that seems to have remained. What else was delayed? The Flash, Black Adam's been put into development hell.
But I don't get Wonder Woman, John, because if that's staying in its December slot, there's no cinemas, we're certainly not here in the UK, that are going to actually house this film.
Well, perhaps Odeon.
View and Odeon, but you know, if you want a wide
if they're
spread,
open, I don't know.
It's a bit silly, is it not?
Well, you're not seeing it here, Stephen, because certainly today we get some bad news that they're shutting down, things like that. I don't know if cinemas were announced, but certainly the hospitality sector.
For the next 3 weeks, yeah.
Depressing.
Yeah, but it's natural, John. I was surprised how many were obviously on that list that you described. But it's going to be a natural thing just now with everything. You mentioned it, John. Athletes, football, soccer, everything's having an effect on this. I've just found out today my previous job was in football and soccer. The First Minister is not letting
amateur
players over the age of 18 play football for the next 3 weeks, and they've just kicked off as well. So it's having an effect on all social aspects of society in Scotland just now anyway. But as a whole, worldwide, John, this is just a tip off the iceberg, this film being delayed as well. But when you did talk about that last night, it was surprising how many there was.
Do you agree with me though, Stephen, that this could be a positive for the Batman and for the likes of Dune? It could give Denis Villeneuve and Matt Reeves a chance to hone the movie into a more sort of coherent form of their vision. Yeah. It could give them a chance to spruce up the effects. They're not rushing balls to the wall to try and get it done for the end of the year. And then obviously in the Batman's case, next year, I think it get delayed. It was early next year, and it get delayed to November, I think. Now it's 2022. Do you think, like me, this could actually be a positive thing, that you could actually end up getting two better movies as a result of the production, or not the production, but the actual release dates being delayed later on into the calendar year, and a whole calendar year later again for the Batman? Because I feel it could be a positive thing, not a negative.
It really depends, doesn't it? It depends on if they need to do some pickup shots and reshoots and stuff like that, but it depends on the director as well. You look at The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, no hiccups, you know, he was on schedule, very little reshoots, I think anyway, but then you get other directors that are running out of time and have to bring in people like Tony Gilroy to help finish the film.
And look how that worked out.
It really just depends on how far they are in the production, but I think it is a positive. If you give any director will want more time, you know, and they've not got that pressure of the studio on them, you know, for making deadlines. So
we've seen Taika saying it.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a positive for Dune more than the Batman. I think people were talking about this film has to be split into two parts, or they have to film a second part, whatever it is. I don't know too much about how far they are in the production of this, John, but
I think it is going to be a two-part story for the first Frank Herbert book. So
it gives the director time to think about how he wants to structure it, how he wants to pace it as well, because he could change things. You know, whatever was going to be the theatrical release could all change now. You're right. You know, if they're given enough time, and they will be given plenty of time now, then it could be a good thing for the moviegoers.
Absolutely. Well, it's not. Well, obviously for us, wanting to go and watch a movie this year, it's horrendous news, but good things come to those who wait, Steve. Exactly. Ultimately, it'll all get ironed out. We will see these movies at some point, provided we don't die in that time period. And I'm fairly young, so I sincerely hope I don't die before the age of 32. That'd be horrendous. I'm very unlucky. I've got longevity in my side of both sides of my family, so I think I'm here for at least another 60 years, touch wood. But look, I've no wood near me, so I'm clearly going to pop my clogs early. But Stephen, final thing I'd say, man, Black Adam as well, it get put into developmental purgatory. Dwayne Johnson was so psyched up for this. I think he was pushing to get the ball rolling with production. Now it's been delayed and there's no actual release date being confirmed. The Flash was delayed as well. We're going to get into another movie which has actually been pushed forward. I think that's Warner Brothers 2, incidentally. I briefly touched upon that. I didn't give it a huge amount of room in the show last night because there was so much discussion about delays and all sorts of nonsense.
It's funny, John. I think people that are more familiar with the character Black Adam will be disappointed. Myself, I can wait. I can wait because there's so much happening in the DC just now anyway, that I can wait. And I think the fact we didn't get any kind of structural trailer at the DC fandom. It was more just a narration over some concept art, stuff like that. So I know it'll be good because Dwayne Johnson's in it, and obviously the connections with Shazam as well intrigues me how that's going to work further down the line.
Did you make about Shazam, Stephen, the director? Speaking about the kids being able to grow out beards.
Yeah.
In time for this sequel. 5 years between Shazam and Shazam 2. That's pushing it to the maximum. Yeah. That's a long time. And it's lost momentum.
I think because the way that DC do it differently from Marvel as well, where Marvel are possibly having different teams working on maybe 3 films a year. DC don't tend to do that. They seem to concentrate on one at a time. Yeah. I may be wrong, John. That's just the way it seems presented to the audience anyway. Joe Public, you know.
Oh, Stephen, final thing. It'll give Dwayne a chance to pump even more testosterone into his body and balloon up.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows the man's in his 50s now. There's no chance he's doing that naturally, man.
No.
I've looked at it.
It would naturally disappointed, John, but he will understand the reasons for it. Yeah. Just like Daniel Craig talking about James Bond, he understands the reasons for it as well. But it's just one of these things. There's not a lot you can do about it, and we'll just have to be patient. That's all we can do. Yes. Look forward to films hopefully in 2021. It's going to be a hell of a year, 2021, for all these long overdue releases. So we're going to move on anyway, John. A bit of good news. You did mention about The Matrix 4 will arrive in movie theatres earlier than expected. This is coming in from MovieWeb. The Matrix 4 is now scheduled to hit theatres several months earlier than expected, moving from April 1st, 2022 to December 22nd, 2021. That's easy for me to say. Rather perfectly. Neo has always been a sci-fi spiritual figure, will now return around Christmas. So there you are, it falls into place for that. Now, Reeves, John, not Christopher Reeves. Not Christopher Reeves. Keanu Reeves described The Matrix 4 as a love story. Can't wait to see it then. Yeah. And gives us some idea of the direction of the highly anticipated sequel. We have a wonderful director, Lana Wachowski, and she has written a beautiful script that is a love story. It's inspiring. Did he have any drugs on the Bill and Ted film by any chance? Yeah. Reeves said recently it's another version, a call to wake up, and it has some great action. I hope it does. It is The Matrix after all. All will be revealed. This is far from the first time that Keanu Reeves has praised Lana Wachowski's script, which she wrote alongside Cloud Atlas author David Mitchell and Alexander Heeman. Lana Wachowski wrote a beautiful script and a wonderful story that resonated with me, he said back in June. That's the only reason to do it, to work with her again. It's just amazing. It's been really special, and the story has, I think, some meaningful things to say and that we can take some nourishment from. And echoing those sentiments, Carrie-Anne Moss, who's reprising her role as Trinity in The Matrix 4, has also hailed the screenplay in the past, saying, when it was brought to me in the way that it was brought to me, with incredible depth and all of the integrity and artistry that you can imagine, I was like, this is a gift. It was just very exciting. This is the first time I've read these sort of quotes.
It's a gift for her.
Yeah, I think
her career's not really done much.
Apart from the Marvel stuff that was on Netflix, she appeared in some of the Daredevil stuff, etc. Yeah. It's good to see, though, John. It's positive to see that both lead actors are speaking highly of this script and obviously the screenplay. And you've got obviously Lana Wachowski, a very talented writer, and obviously working alongside David Mitchell and Alexander Heeman as well. Everything about this film, I've said in the past, John, people can check the videos. It's a film I didn't need, but the more I'm reading about it, the more I'm intrigued about, a bit like Coming to America 2, basically. The more I'm reading about it, the more I really want to see where they're taking this. The rumours are flying about everywhere, how they're bringing Neo back and what form he's going to be in it. He could be part of a duplicated new script code, if you like, from The Matrix. And
that sounds like a go.
So, I mean, there's all these possibilities,
John. Says it's not going to be a prequel, Stephen, so
no, exactly.
That duplicated script could be a go. And we could have a new, very different version of Neo, a new, very different version of Trinity. Perhaps Morpheus isn't in this. That explains why Lawrence Fishburne's not popping back up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking forward to this now, because this clearly shows that they have confidence in the script. Clearly the studio have seen what Lana Wachowski has in terms of script. They see some of maybe the dailies, the shots from the production, and they must realise that there's something there palpable, or they wouldn't be pushing it forward a year, unless they're just pushing it forward knowing that perhaps next year's going to be a dumpster fire of a year for movies as well, and maybe they'll just it'll be the sacrificial lamb, but I don't think so.
No.
I think next year we will be back with a bang with these movies, and this is a clear sign of confidence for me in this movie, that they are pushing the release date forward when so many other movies are being pushed back again and again and again. I don't know what to make about this love story nonsense. That kind of concerns me. We don't need soppy love stories in The Matrix. It's all about balls to the wall action, existentialism, what's real, what's not real.
The sort of relationship stuff was always in the background, wasn't it, in the first 3 films? It was obviously the first one was the tension between Neo and Trinity, and then we got to the second one where they were having actual love scenes, as I recall, and then the third one was all about sacrifice. It was more of a Romeo and Juliet type thing going on in the third one, about sacrificing oneself to save the other kind of thing for love.
And that's why those movies were demonstrably shitter than the first, which was just a great little self-contained, balls to the wall, brisk action movie with some amazing innovation in terms of what they were doing with filming techniques and stuff like that. That's why I'm still, a little grain in me still thinks this is a bad idea, because you can never ever top the original in terms of innovation, in terms of technological advancements. They can't get back to 2000 and give us something we're not seen before. Yeah. Because Favreau and Jim Cameron are already leading the way with that, with their technology, green screen shit, and not actual green screen, ridiculous big 360 LED screens that envelop the actor in the world.
That's right.
And obviously in Cameron's case, he's just ridiculous, man. He creates sets the size of a small country. Yeah. So they can't really do anything innovative now with this movie. So that's my only concern. Is that why she's going to the love scenes? It's all in the story, Stephen. That's where this movie will be made or broken, in the story. If the story is crap, and it can't be, because as I said, Warner Brothers are bringing it forward instead of pushing it back. They must see something. And it's attracted Keanu Reeves back to a franchise he wouldn't have come anywhere near with a 70-foot barge pole, not a 6-foot, a 70-foot. And then the fact you're getting these guys back, there must be something palatable in this script to be coaxing them back into it. So I'm excited about it, but there's trepidation there as well. It could be shit, man. It could be absolutely amazing. Time will tell.
There's never been an official reason for Lawrence Fishburne not returning. I don't know whether or not that will be explained at some point.
It's because he's not aged as good as the other two.
It could be, John, but it could also be that maybe it's part of the plot as well, that they can't really say too much in case it reveals too much of what's going to be happening in the storyline. Agent Johnson is returning, though. I did see that.
Strange, isn't it?
Sort of sidekick to Agent Smith.
Could be another hint that it is a duplicate script where Agent Smith has been destroyed, he can't come back, but the other incarnations of agents can come back. That guy with the double-barreled name who's popped up, he's got the huge forehead like Hugo Weaving. He could be playing the new antagonist. It's a double-barreled name, hasn't he? So
Doogie Howser, he played all those years ago. I can't remember his name. Neil Patrick Harris.
There you go. Fantastic. But I forgot Bob Iger yesterday. I had Chapek in my name. In my head I should say, but I forgot Iger. How can you forget Uncle Bob?
Your man that plays Agent Smith, Hugo Weaving. It's scheduling conflicts for him. It's nothing to do with the fact they didn't want the character returning. He's committed to other stuff at the moment. But I'm looking forward to it. I have
what you should be committed to, Stephen? Sorry for interjecting. No. He should be committed to playing Elrond again in this Lord of the Rings Amazon TV show. Get Kate Blanchett, as some people like to say. I just call her Blanchett. And Hugo Weaving back in those roles, man. Get that continuity. It's a prequel. It's taking place in the early Middle Earth. Is it even Middle Earth? I don't know. I think it is. So get them back.
John, I'm sure we'll talk about that another day when people are talking about it. For surprisingly such a big thing, there's not a lot of coverage of it just now, but hopefully it's not on hold.
I hope not
for the foreseeable future. But we'll move on, John, to possibly another bit of good news. Depends if you've already seen the film or not. It's New Mutants releasing on Blu-ray and digital next month.
If you've not seen it yet.
Yeah, true. The New Mutants will finally be available for at-home viewing on DVD, Blu-ray and digital on November 17th after a much delayed theatrical release. The newest X-Men movie. I would say it's the last one. The New Mutants will soon be available for home viewing, despite being filmed in 2017.
It's
One
not
of
good,
our most anticipated films of 2018. The New Mutants experienced numerous
And
delays.
2019.
Finally premiered in August of this year in the midst of a global pandemic. The box office turnout for the movie was thus less than ideal, only making back about half of its original budget.
Yeah.
Like most films at the moment, John, that are being released cinematically, limited theatres, it's not going to make its money back, I'm afraid.
No,
it's just
not.
like Tenet at the moment.
And Mulan.
And Mulan. So it's, and you look at the ones on VOD, they're not making much of a profit either.
Bill and Ted done no too bad. I think it got $35 million or something.
Yeah.
And that was a sort of hybrid movie. It released in theatres briefly in certain regions.
Yep.
It done okay. It kind of broke even. There wasn't much promotion getting done. I think some back sort of alleyway deal get done with the studio, and it wasn't eating into profits, so it kind of counted as
John,
a success for Bill and Ted. But in the main, you're right. Pretty poor performances for movies on VOD. Trolls a World Tour aside.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know whether they were vindicated for releasing this movie in the theatres or not. Certainly Tenet went out, and I understand Tenet coming out because it was an event movie, and if anything was going to save the theatre going experience and coax people out into theatres, it would be a Chris Nolan movie. Talking about sacrificial lambs, this felt from the get-go like a sacrificial lamb, Stephen. Like Disney didn't give a shit about it. They just wanted it out. Who was the director again? I forget the director's name. Josh Boone.
Yeah.
He was he had it written into the contract that it couldn't be released on VOD on a streaming service. It had to have a theatrical release. So they just wanted it out. They wanted done with it. They wanted to cut ties with Fox's X-Men universe and let Kevin Feige come in and get his hands on it and do some magic. So they wanted a shot of it. So it was sacrificed.
That was my next question, John, because normally in a normal year, if you like, one that's not 2020, this film would have had its cinematic run, and then possibly 6 months down the line would have been released on digital. It's 2 months in, and
expedited.
It's as if let's just get it out there as soon as possible and we can move on, just like they did with the cinematic release as well. Just put it out, shut everyone up, then let's just move on as quickly as possible. We're not doing sequels, by the way, Josh, so don't get your hopes up.
He had visions of a trilogy. Never going to happen, man. And by all accounts, he didn't even get a reshoot for this movie. This was his original shot. It's cut of the movie. They just battered through production. The Disney Fox merger happened, and then he didn't get a chance to go back and do any pickup shots, reshoots, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, he's been screwed. It's a shame for Josh, but for us, I ain't seen it yet. I'm going to probably watch it and share my own views on it.
Yeah.
I'll not be too harsh. It was one of my most anticipated movies. And by all accounts, it's not utter horseshit, Stephen. It has got some redeeming things. I think the story and the character development, by all accounts, is the weak point. I don't know what the strong points are at that. When you get into that, I mean, what if the story and the I think it's more the characters, the story. But something's must be redeeming, because guys like Stuckman and Campea didn't speak too harshly on it. Didn't say it was a complete shit show.
If you're going to drive 4 hours to see a film, you're not going to really down on it, because you just make yourself look a fool. But we'll move on anyway, John. I look forward to that digital download anyway, and I'll catch it. I do want to see it. I do, just out of curiosity more than anything now.
Yes.
Back in 2018, I was looking forward to it because of the trailer, the first trailer.
It was different, Stephen. It was mixing horror,
but
comic book.
It isn't to be. So we're going to move on, John, to something that we've talked about a couple of times. You've got your thoughts on this as well, where this is all leading to. It's Marvel's Sinister 6 cast as we know it. As Spider-Man 3 is bringing Jamie Foxx's Electro into the MCU franchise, it's time to look at every member of the Sinister 6 that currently exists, and this is the reason that you think this is happening. The MCU is finally getting closer to bringing the Sinister 6 together with Marvel Phase 4 Spider-Man Homecoming 3, whatever it's going to be called, set to introduce more characters to the potential roster. Ever since Tom Holland's incarnation of the iconic web slinger joined the ever-growing shared universe, of various villains from his rogues gallery have been introduced. That's a run from Screen Rant, John, and it's a very good article. It's breaks down all the characters that potentially could be appearing. It does mention Sony Pictures is working on Kraven the Hunter film, but it's unclear at the moment whether or not that will tie into Sinister 6 potential lineup.
I think it will.
With the MCU and the Sonyverse crossover. But we've got Vulture in there. We already know from Homecoming, played by the brilliant Michael Keaton, one of the most menacing villains, I would say.
Stephen had such great presence.
Yeah,
every time he was on the screen, you were alarmed.
It was amazing. This is the guy that played Bruce Wayne 30 years ago, John, and look what he's doing now. He's going to play Bruce Wayne again, obviously, but this was such a far cry from that role. Flip side of the comic book, good versus evil. Vulture was a tremendous pick for the first Spider-Man film in the MCU, I felt. There's obviously the connections from the likes of Tinkerer. I think that's just down from Vulture. This is one of the... I think it's Phineas Mason, also known as a Tinkerer. Yeah, that's basically what he is. He's one of his henchmen. And that's one of the possibilities. You've got Shocker, who obviously appeared more prominently in Homecoming. Good character, a lot of potential there as well. This guy is just... he's ruthless. He's cold-blooded as well. A cold murderer. So you've got that as well from sort of Vulture connections. You've also got Scorpion as well. You were talking about him just before we came on. He
popped up in the post-credit scene of Homecoming.
Yeah.
And it was alluded that there was going to be a connection moving forward. They were speaking about, can you get me to, obviously, Spider-Man. Never really get picked up on in the Far From Home movie. It was all about Mysterio. They have to tie these loose ends up. That's so amateurish. That's not Kevin Feige at all.
Oh,
there's someone talking about how they dropped the balls. They've got a bit of a villain problem. There's too much villains coming into this movie, potentially. No chance, man. Feige doesn't make mistakes like that. No. He will tie up those loose ends, no problem.
John,
Vulture and Scorpion will be back.
The thing about the MCU, I know we're including Sonyverse in this as well, is that it doesn't matter if they've dropped this guy in at some point in the film, they will go back to it. That's the whole point, you know. That's what we're talking about, the X-Men, whether or not we're already seeing some of them within the films. Kevin Feige plays a long game every time. With every phase, it's always a long game with him anyway, so it's good to see that this guy's getting mentioned again, because there is a lot of potential there. And you talk about Mysterio, John. He's the next one. Quentin Beck, of course. Do you think he will return?
I'd love to see him return, Stephen. I think that would be an inspired choice. I says to you before the movie came out, I want to see more Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's a stupendous actor. He's one of the best actors out there just now. And if you can bring him in and play a long game with him in the MCU, I wanted him to start off as a good guy and then slowly turn over the course of maybe a trilogy of movies and then be the bad guy.
Be a tragic figure,
play a tragic figure who finally turns like maybe Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, and then he has to be taken down. Because he's such a good actor, it's a waste of the talent to use him up in one movie. I know that's traditionally how Marvel have done things. Use one minor villain and then they've got one overarching puppet master villain in the shadows like Thanos. But even the chemistry between Holland and Gyllenhaal's there. They've got great chemistry. They've created a brilliant friendship by all accounts. So I'd love to see him coming back. And he's such a wizard of a character. Master of illusion. It wouldn't surprise me if he's managed to make an illusion out of his supposed death as well, and he can pop back up in some vein. That'd be great, man.
You never
know. A cool character. Look at, bring that graphic back up. Look at it. It's amazing.
It is, and it was a fantastic... I liked it, John. I liked Far From Home. I think it was because it was such... there's such a contrast between the villains in the first Spider-Man film and this one, or the second one, I should say. Vulture's a totally different kettle of fish to Mysterio, and that's what I liked about that. The villains aren't the same. They're not, just cardboard cutouts.
No.
There's such variety to these. Electro as well, being the last one, obviously. Jamie Foxx returning. They are saying that he's not going to possibly look the same, that he might... I think a lot of people are saying that there is this rumour going about that he still will be connected to the previous Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films. It is the same guy. It's not just an
alternate version.
An alternate version
from a different universe.
It's the same one, you know. So that's from the Mark Webb, was it? It was his films, wasn't it? The Amazing Spider-Man. So what's your take on that as well, John? I don't think we actually spoke about that, did we? Or you may have spoke about it.
Yeah, I spoke about it once. Yeah,
I wasn't on the show.
I didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
See, and I think it's great for Jamie Foxx. I know a lot of people don't really rate him as an actor. I personally do. I think he's sort of jack of all trades. He can do everything, man.
Yeah.
He's dead charismatic guy, really good actor for me. It wasn't his fault. It was just the character was a bit shit in the movie. The movie was just muddled. They were trying to do too much. They sort of dropped the ball with his character. Now this is a bit of vindication. He can come back and maybe deliver a more befitting performance as this character, a more serious, better version in the MCU. This is his chance, man. And if it's part of an ensemble Sinister Six sort of, I mean, I don't want to see this next Spider-Man movie just blowing everything in one go. Where it's like a sort of multiverse. You've got all these different characters coming in and out, perhaps different Spider-Men. And then, that does sound good, even now as I say it. You could have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, Spider-Man characters. Yeah. Maybe even Emma Stone coming back as a Spider-Gwen to face off the threat of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And as a trilogy, this is the third movie in a trilogy, so that would bookend it beautifully. He starts off really immature, has to learn the way of being a superhero. Middle movie, it's tinged with tragedy. He's lost his mentor figure. He imparts his wisdom, Tony Stark, via the glasses. He has to grow up and mature. His third movie, he's matured completely, and he's got help from previous versions to show him even more so, this is how you do it. And what better way to sort of typify that in having the Sinister Six in there? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It does seem like a wasted opportunity, though, blowing that big ensemble villainous act in one movie. I mean, again, you'd like to slowly build that over the course of multiple movies.
Yeah, not the last film. But it all depends. It depends on how it's handled. A lot of people would argue that they don't want to see too many villains in the third Spider-Man film. They've already fell to that, or Sony have.
Yeah.
Obviously with the Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3, with too many villains in there.
Was it the Sandman?
You had the Sandman, you had Venom, and then
Green
you obviously had, your man playing the Sun.
The Sun, Franco.
But, taking over the sort of mantle of Green Goblin. There was too much going on in the film, so it really depends. And for a third film, you're right. I think it's too much to ask if you want to bookend a trilogy, which this looks like it's going to be. I would rather see it played over. We're talking about Jamie Foxx's character and how he's going to be introduced.
Can't forget J. Jonah Jameson as well.
Well, exactly, John. And I don't know if some of this might be handled in the Multiverse of Madness film.
He apparently created Electro. He sort of drove him to being the figure he was. No, Scorpion it was he done, actually, not Electro. Scorpion, he sort of pushed him, so completely ignore what I says there. Doesn't at all tie into Electro. But we could see him tying up with Scorpion, maybe Vulture, and them working in tandem.
Yeah.
To try and bring down Peter Parker.
But you do think this is going to happen sooner
Absolutely.
rather than later, yeah.
I think they're obsessed with the Sinister Six, Stephen. They've been pushing it for a long time, Sony. And I'd rather it get handled under the sort of guise or the guidance of Kevin Feige as a overseeing sort of producing figure. Because if he's doing it, it'll get done right. Yeah. Sony, more likely to screw it up. Even though they've created two of the greatest Spider-Man movies of all time with no Kevin Feige.
Sony could do a film, though, with the Sinister Six.
Yeah. They could,
so we never know. But
we're going alright with Venom.
Yeah, exactly. And
Morbius looks good.
Yep, exactly. That looks fantastic. But we're going to move on, John, to two things we're going to talk about here, Star Wars related. First and foremost, it's Rey. Secret Jedi power. Star Wars confirms this. This is the latest Star Wars reference book confirms.
I see something there.
Rey possesses the rare Force power of psychometry, I think that's how you say it, explaining scenes in The Force Awakens. It's a good thing that these books exist, because clearly they're not very good at writing films. They've got to bring out books to explain stuff.
Well, they should have these novels.
John, I used to collect what are they called, those books from
DK?
the illustrated ones.
Graphic novels.
What they called. They brought them out every film, and it
Oh,
explained all the technology.
yeah.
Can't remember what it's called. It's a kind of encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia of
of
Star
that
Wars.
film.
Yeah.
But this is the latest Star Wars reference book. Confirms Rey possesses a secret Force ability called psychometry. Rey is undoubtedly one of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy. Blah blah blah. In part, this is biological because she's the grandfather of Emperor Palpatine. Blah 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 himself. In part, it is because she is one half of a Force dyad with the older, more experienced Kylo Ren, and she absorbed much of his knowledge and skill through their mysterious bond. She certainly is a scavenger, this one.
Yeah, she is, isn't she?
Not just stealing people's names, she's stealing their dead powers as well. Finally, Lucasfilm publishes has provided an answer. DK has just released a Star Wars book featuring
Is that Donkey Kong?
contributions from, might as well be, Pablo Hidalgo, Cole Horton and Dan Zer in a section on the Force abilities. It confirms Rey possesses an innate Force power called psychometry. Some Force abilities require years of training, a form of instinctual aptitude, or a very strong connection to the Force to access. A small number of Force users, including Rey and Cal Kestis, have a rare ability of psychometry which allows them to learn about people or events by touching an object associated with them. Now, John, before I let you in, this story group really does mind nothing. The reason for that is because once a film is released, they have then got to get in and pick out all the plot holes and then write explanations for plot holes. That's what it comes across as to me every time. People question, how can this happen? Why is this happening? Why is this person doing this? They've got to then write a book to explain it. Is that bad writing on the filmmakers' part, John?
100%.
Or is it just basically because what we all have all said along is that they're just making it up as they go along?
Stephen, it's horrendous writing on the filmmakers' part. No doubt about it. All under the guidance of someone with an ulterior motive and agenda. Screw the actual story, screw the actual character development. Just push a female character right into the front and foremost of the movies and the actual story. Doesn't matter about character development, a heroic journey like Luke Skywalker, or a tragic journey like Anakin, and ultimately his development and coming back to the light. Forget about all that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Make sure the female character is front and centre. She's a Jedi and she's incredibly powerful in the first movie. She doesn't have to go on a journey. She doesn't have to face adversity. She's just the most superior, most ridiculously gifted Jedi of all time, and we'll fling out an explanation at the end of the movie that she's the granddaughter of obviously the Emperor Palpatine, and then we'll fling in some novel explanations after that as well, just to appease the little bitches in the fandom who don't agree that she's a bit of a Mary Sue. Look, I've pushed back against the Mary Sue thing initially, but as the story developed and I realised she wasn't going to face any adversity, that she was just going to be this incredible 2D cardboard cutout muted character that just went from one success to another success, I thought, Jesus Christ, she is a Mary Sue. And just reading that quote, it's ridiculous, man. That's the most ridiculous explanation I've ever seen.
There was a good,
some training requires years, whilst others have an innate ability which allows them to touch an object and gain the power like that.
Yeah,
horrendous.
You know why they're saying that, don't you? Because people have questioned the Luke training compared to Rey training.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, John, I saw on social media the other day, and it was something that was well highlighted in regards to the sequel trilogy, was it showed you two photographs side by side of the Millennium Falcon cockpit from the. Did you see it?
No, I've not seen it.
Well,
no.
it was the the lineup from the original characters: Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewbacca, sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and then from the sequel trilogy, you had Rey, Finn, and Poe. Maybe C3. Chewbacca was there actually, and
BB-8.
basically what they were doing, they were labelling them. You had the Jedi Master, you had the experienced pilot and Han Solo, you had the experienced leader and
the
Leia,
political force,
and they were labelled like that. In the second photograph with the sequel trilogy characters, it was I think they labelled her Mary Sue, and they had Poe as sidekick, and they had Finn as comic relief, That's the problem. The writing was horrendous, John, where they focused too much on the one character, as you mentioned, in Rey.
It didn't even work.
The rest of the characters suffered through it, especially in Rise of Skywalker. Finn, I think he must have said Rey about 10 times in the 1 hour, the last hour of the film. And it was like a dog. He was just like a lost dog looking for its owner. It was a terrible way to handle that character. It had so much potential. But listen, I'm going off on a tangent, John. Secret Jedi powers. It's very convenient. This goes back to the days that we used to laugh about lightsaber.
The length.
Yeah, and some of them can
cut through and then others sort of deflect. Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you've got Obi-Wan, Ben Kenobi cutting off limbs left, right and centre in the first movie, and then by obviously the Return of the Jedi, Luke's just deflecting people off of this like Jabba's barge, like a baseball bat. Yeah. So there's always been inconsistencies in the canon, but never to this extent. I mean, they've just completely ignored all of the pre-established mythology, all of the pre-established workings, inner machinations of the Force and stuff like that, and just rewritten the entire thing from scratch. We've got Force FaceTiming, and we've got Force hearing, and we've got her just learning how to do mind tricks. You don't have to be in the Jedi temple. Yeah. You don't have to have 40 years, 50 years of experience like Ben Kenobi. You just do it like that.
I always wondered how rain could be transferred through that sort of FaceTime thing. You know how it was raining on Act 2, I think it was?
Makes no sense, Steve.
And then Kylo Ren had the rain on his glove.
Don't get me wrong, it was a cool visual thing. I did enjoy the Force FaceTime, and it was a cool idea. But yeah, it made no sense. It was just then trying to make things look cool. That was Rian Johnson, wasn't it? Trying to show off, hey, I'm an independent filmmaker with a huge budget. I can do what I want. Stroke my ego and my little bald head and I'll just rattle it out, man. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm doing a Star Wars movie. Everyone's my bitch. They're going to love it or they'll hate it. That's what he said, Stephen, before the movie came out. I'd hate to have 30% of people, or 100% of people love my movie, I think he says. I'd hate to have it. I'd rather have 50% despise it and 50% love it. I think the actual quote was, I've completely butchered it, I'd hate to have people just like my movie. Yeah. I'd rather have 50 love and adore it and 50 despise it. You can't do that with Star Wars, man. Look at what Marvel and Disney are doing. You have to tick all the demographics and make sure everybody's appeased to some level. First and foremost, you have to look after the hardcore fan base. Funded it for 40 years. Yeah. You can't have that ideology in a big blockbuster movie. He was the wrong fit. He started all this shit off, really. I mean, JJ, you can see he kind of done it, but at least you kind of had some weaknesses. The family thing, but it just dropped the ball. They obsessed on this character, and it was because of Kathleen Kennedy. And you're right, Boyega get discarded. You've seen him coming out and absolutely destroying her, and Isaac and maybe even Adam Driver to an extent as well get thrust to the side for an inferior actor and a shit 2D character that had no adversity. It went nowhere. Horrendous, man. Horrendous.
We're going to stay on the Star Wars theme, John. Kelly Marie Tran open to Rose's return under the right conditions. Star Wars Kelly Marie Tran would be open to reprising her Rose Tico character on a Disney Plus show under the right conditions. She was speaking with Collider about the role in Hulu's Monsterland. Tran was asked about Chew's pitch and her possible Star Wars future. She said that it was fun to be involved with the franchise, but the situation would have to be just right in order for her to return, for her to sign on for a TV show. She said, he's so cool, I don't know, I honestly don't know, it's so strange, I had so much fun being in that world, but I feel like the pieces would have fall into a perfect little puzzle and everything would have to feel like it's the right time and the right moment and the right story, like with any other project, but I don't know. Just before I let you in, John, it sounds like she's been very cautious in obviously her response. She doesn't want to burn her bridges with Disney, clearly, like John Boyega has, but at the same time she has been very careful that she doesn't want to step back into this franchise anytime soon after the horrendous abuse that this actor experienced after The Last Jedi's release. Again, actors cannot be blamed. They can only be blamed for their performance. Her performance was fine. Dialogue was terrible. You can't fault an actor for the dialogue, unless they're sort of, just ad-libbing a lot of the stuff. But in this case, we're not working with Al Pacino's here. We're working with unknown actors who have got to they've got to obviously follow a script. But I think she's been very cautious in her response with this. She clearly doesn't want to burn her bridges, but at the same time she would be open sometime further down the line as long as the character was handled better. I think that's what she's saying here without saying it.
Yeah,
very much like what John Boyega, but not being as open as he has with his choice of words. I'm pretty sure Kelly Marie Tran has the same feelings as John Boyega on the handling of certain characters and what their agenda was in introducing these characters in the first place, where in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker she was just non-existent. She was they might have well rotoscoped her into the film as well with Carrie Fisher on that, because she was just sidelined.
Yeah, she gets saddled with a dead character.
Yeah.
With a dead actor, in a sense, who wasn't really there. What a horrendous time that must have been. Basically speaking to no one, trying to make it look convincing. Stephen, look, we spoke about it before we came on. I don't think she's the worst actor in the world.
No.
She was harshly treated. And I wouldn't mind seeing the character coming back in a sort of light-hearted manner. I wouldn't mind seeing... If it's handled correctly and the actual project is befitting and they can do it organically, don't just bring her in for sort of try to appease certain elements of the fandom who think she was maybe wronged, and she was wronged in terms of the actual character itself and their treatment on social media and stuff like that at the hands of by the so-called fans, if you like. So if they can do it right and they can do it in an organic manner, certainly bring the character back. I don't know what that manner would be, but the actor has been wronged, man. She wasn't the worst thing in The Last Jedi. That was the actual story itself. So, look, man, I feel like it would be nice to see her coming back. She's a Star Wars fan. We've seen it when she was building up to the Rise of... The Last Jedi. She was excited to be part of the franchise, to be amongst all of her cast members and stuff like that. So, it's a shame what ultimately played out for her. But that's life, man. The character was shit, let's be honest. It was poorly written.
Yeah.
Not Kelly Marie Tran's fault.
But
if they can vindicate the character and do it in a way, maybe the adventures of her and her sister, I don't know.
Pretty cool then.
Pretty cool.
Because she died obviously in the first 5 minutes of the film, which would have been a very interesting character.
Sister looked better.
She made the ultimate sacrifice. Little did she know that bombs can actually drop in space. Gravity doesn't exist. Or does exist, I should say. But you're right, John. It would have to be something worthwhile. It'd have to make sense as well, and it'd have to be worth the actors' time as well. Because I really can't see where the Rose Tico character can go other than back the way to do a prequel to find out where she was prior to the events of The Last Jedi. What was her job? Was she a kind of mechanic or something?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think she just worked as a sort of service.
An engineer or something. Yeah.
Stephen, if they can maybe have her grow into maybe a soldier type figure, we could maybe see the continuing adventures of the New Republic.
Yeah.
Or the Resistance after the events of the sequel trilogy. It really depends on where they're going. I don't think they want any connections to the Skywalker saga, the sequel trilogy. I think they want to just cut ties.
Yeah.
Move to a completely different timeline with new characters. None of the sort of £80 gorilla. £80, that's very light. £500 gorillas on their back, digging the claws in terms of the actual expectations and legacy. Start afresh, so I think she's probably kaput. I don't think she is going to be asked back. Certainly not after the way they saddled her with a rotoscope dead actor. So, and look, I love Carrie Fisher, man.
Yeah.
She was great. I'm not trying to do down her memory or whatever, but she was, it's factually correct. She had passed away. She was rotoscoped into the movie. It was horrendous looking, incidentally.
Yeah.
We spoke about it, and what was her brother's name?
I can't remember his name.
We spoke about it all the time.
Yeah, we were talking about him more than we were talking about Carrie Fisher at one point. Todd Fisher, yeah.
He went on about it was the greatest thing ever. It looked so cool. It looked like she'd belonged there.
Yeah, I
didn't.
Yeah, I think, John, perhaps maybe they saw the raw footage, and when they saw the final product, it did look probably a lot better than what they were working with. Yeah. A bit like Freeze a Bird tape, the cassette.
I was thinking that.
We see the end product. Yeah, exactly. We don't see the work it goes into these things, but it was very lackluster.
Yeah, but look, man, I don't really care away whether she comes back or not. It'd be good for the actor to maybe get some vindication and prove she isn't some tubby little lad arse. It was just the actual bomb, shell suit, whatever it was, boiler suit, and she can actually act. Because she isn't, she's not tubby, she's not a lad arse. She's actually in good shape. I thought everything, Stephen, everything about the character was just wrong. Everything.
Nobody said she was, John.
No, they did. They did, Stephen. That was definitely something that was doing the round. She was sort of odd looking, a little bit too chubby. She looks kind of like a Teletubby meets an Oompa Loompa in the actual movie. So they did. Maybe it was just in my spheres. I don't know, but it certainly was talked about. So that's another way that they can vindicate the character, make her look a bit better.
John, just before we
pick
move
the costumes a little bit better.
Just before you close the show, now I have been watching your stream on YouTube, and it does automatically come up with a COVID-19 get the message thing, because obviously the headline that we're discussing today with Jurassic World Dominion paused because of a COVID-19 outbreak. Now, anyone that goes onto our website or onto our Facebook page will notice that we don't have a Facebook page anymore. I think it's because of this.
Oh, you think so?
Facebook have cracked down on a lot of articles and stuff like that involving COVID-19. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but certainly their terms and conditions have changed. We don't have a Facebook page now anyway. We've had it for 3 years. It's always been very informative. It's always kept everyone up to date with the blog on our website, movieburnerentertainment.org. It's also kept us up to date with our trailer reactions, our reviews, our news, everything like that. We've not broken any rules, but apparently we have, and I think it's to do with this, John. So listen, we're not going to recreate a Facebook page. They can go to hell as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's a little bitch.
Yeah. So
Stephen, I always thought Zuckerberg was a bitch anyway when he sort of it was revealed that he had a guiding hand in advertisement campaigns and stuff like that, which ultimately allowed Tango Man into power. So, and obviously the buffoon that is Boris Johnson into power here. So I've took a bit of a disliking to the guy. So that, and then the ultimate slap in the face, actually deleting my page. Yeah, you can go screw yourself.
Yeah, without appeal. They didn't even give us a reason. They just
twice
said,
they've done it.
Yeah, they just said you've broken the rules or something like that. Not even telling us what rules we'd broke. So whatever.
Facebook's dying, Stephen.
Yeah.
It's dead. It's a dead social media platform. It's full of sort of self-absorbed, superficial shitheads. A bit like Instagram, but it's better. Instagram's better. But I digress, man. That's going to round up the show. What's your thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion being delayed to 2022 and the production itself pausing for 2 weeks because of some COVID-19 shenanigans? What's your thoughts on all of the other movies that we spoke about getting delayed that I also spoke about yesterday? Perhaps you can share your thoughts about that. What do you make about The Matrix 4? Is this good news, it getting pushed up to next year? Is that a sign that the script's perhaps pretty damn good? Do you want to see romantic elements in it? What do you make about New Mutants coming out in digital? Marvel, are we getting a Sinister 6 ensemble movie? If not Spider-Man 3 at some point in the near future? What do you make about Ray having a, what was it called? A psychometry power? Is that all down to bullshit, horrendous writing? Yes, BS. It's such BS, man.
BS from
the
DK.
Skin Man, yes. And what do you make about Kelly Marie Tran? Do you want to see her coming back as Rose Tico? Is that something you're interested in? If you get anything to say at all, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And if you do, that's precisely what you'll get. More content like this, more tangents about Tango Man and Lord knows what else until he's out of power. And we get Joe, the sort of sleepy Joe, and he's still better than Tango Man. And a whole array of other things, guys. But look, until then, I'm tangenting right to the end of the show.
Bye.
Bye.